evening, everybody, and welcome to the Block 9 Podcast Live Lounge. Well, good evening, everybody. So, thank you for joining us tonight. I shall just simply start by saying, Miron left us as quickly as a candle in the wind, and sorry seemed to be the hardest word. But as one flame abruptly blew out, another sparked into life, reigniting belief for us, the Green Army. Yes, Tom Cleverley has waved goodbye to the good old yellow brick road and is heading straight for Home Park. From Sir Elton's Watford, where he was a tiny dancer under the lights, to now dancing under the bright LED lights of Home Park, where we're all known as Janners. Well, it might not quite be the same as that, I suppose, but no doubt he'll be looking to become Argyle's rocket man and fire us straight back up to the Championship. And we will feel the love tonight for our new head coach. I reckon we might just. And who knows, by the end of the season, we could still be standing stronger than ever. So welcome everybody this evening, Argyle fans, Watford fans and football fans alike. This is the Block 9 podcast with myself, Mike the Crazy Pilgrim. And as usual tonight, we have Andy, Carl and Gavin. Plus, we have our special guest, and welcome tonight from the Watford way, we have James. So good evening, everybody. How are we all doing?
Good evening. I was expecting, him to fly his staff down to Plymouth, betting the Jets and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, God, sorry, James.
Please stop this now.
Yeah, there was a few puns, but let's not take it that far.
I was going to say, I think it was like 20 in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, James, James, do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself? Thank you for coming on. Harvey put us in touch, and Harvey hopes to join us equally a little bit later on as well. So, yeah, give us a little bit of an info about yourself, mate.
Yeah, of course. So I'm James. I run the Watford Way. Very easy to find us across all social platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And Twitter as well. We cover all things Watford FC, whether that's news, transfer updates, match previews, reactions, and occasionally a cheeky watch along as well. And of course, I've been brought in today as the designated Tom Cleverley expert. So hopefully I can offer you some good insight into your new head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. No, perfect. So, Carl, just run through the guys. So how are you doing at the moment? How's things with you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Looking forward to the season to start now. I think we got the man we wanted, and yeah, credit for Simon and Andrew and David Fox for getting it over the line. Big appointment for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we read that. I think Simon sort of said about the fact that, as soon as they knew that Cleverley was available, we jumped at the opportunity. And I think from what we've heard recently, it all sounds promising, which is great. Andy, all is well with you? Yes, your lovely new Block 9 T-shirt.
All is well, and the cap, the merchandise is cap as well. So available at all retail stores. Yeah, I'm good. You may have realised I may have had a little bit of a meltdown last week because I just thought that Ian Everett was going to be our manager. And when I heard Tom Cleverley was going to be a manager, I thought, wow, what an appointment that's going to be. So, yeah, I'm really good, mate. Thank you. Had a good week.
Good. And Gavin, yourself?
Over the moon. You'll be pleased to know that I've found some 50p's, so the meter works.
We can see Gavin tonight.
Yeah, the running joke is, just for James's purposes, I'm in the darkest corner of my upstairs lounge. So I've bought one of those halo light things. Not that I need to be any more angelic. And a microphone, because I listened to our pod on the way home from a business trip this week on the car, and the vocals were horrific. So hopefully tonight people can see me, which is not so positive, but can also hear me better too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, conscious that we might only have James with us for about 20, 30 minutes, so we're keen to maximise his time because everybody's got lots on, and it's a Saturday night. It's Father's Day tomorrow, which is why we didn't decide to go live on Sunday for those reasons. So, what we'll do is we'll sort of crack straight into it, really, then, James. So, I think the first thing for me is, I sort of looked at your TikTok video that you put out when the rumours came out. And you said in there that what a great acquisition it's going to be for Argyle, and how you're going to also turn in a keen eye to what Argyle and Tom do in their League One campaign. And I sort of heard that from quite a few Watford fans, and what's been put out recently, which just says a lot about Tom, I think, in his character. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that to start with?
Yeah, so Tom, for me, is, one of the best examples of being, a professional in football. He's a lovely guy. Me personally, doing the Watford way, I had the pleasure of interviewing him last season through the club as well. And yeah, I don't have any bad words to say about him. He conducts himself really well in the media. He sometimes speaks too much, is one maybe slight criticism, especially when it comes to transfers that didn't quite work out in the end. But yeah, he's a lovely guy, and he went through the entire Watford journey, really. He started with us as kind of a young loan player from Manchester United all the way back in 2009, returned to the club on a permanent transfer in 2017, saw out his 5-year contract, become the under-18s head coach when that vacancy arose. And of course, knowing Watford, we sack managers quite regularly. So yeah, that job popped up, and Tom Cleverley was appointed. So he's gone through the whole journey, if you will, of being at Watford Football Club. And other than a small minority of Watford fans, I think most of us, can't wait to see what he does at Plymouth Argyle, because he's got so much potential to be, a fantastic English head coach.
Yeah, I think that's what's exciting. I mean, Ninja Matt, good evening, Matt, who joins us on regularly. Tom seems like a classy guy, like a lot of Watford fans, to be honest. I think it's like I was alluding to there. It's almost that we've just sort of, when someone pays to increase their subscribers or followers, we just seem to have had a whole new onboarding, and I think that says a lot for the fans, and like I said, says a lot for Tom. Just a Janet, I saw an image of Watford having a massive tifo about him, so Watford must have liked him to get that. I think there was something earlier on in the year, wasn't there, in terms of the fans sort of getting behind him.
Yeah, so that was back in January. Of course, as I just alluded to, Watford, you had the merry-go-round of managers leaving the club. And back in January, there was reports coming from Spain that Tom Cleverley was set to be replaced with a new Spanish head coach. Just after them rumours happened, we basically got out a massive tifo, the 1881 group in the Rookery, a huge tifo. It covered almost half of the stand with Tom Cleverley's face on. It really showed our support to him. So that's what that comment was alluding to. But as I said, is a top bloke, really, really lovely character, and he works all hours as well. I mean, he did a few articles and interviews with the Watford Observer, and he gets in the office at 6 a.m. He doesn't leave till 10 p.m. at night. So it's a proper workhorse, and he really cares about the values of the club he works at as well. Watford are branded as the original family club, and Tom, in his interactions with fans, really held on to them values as well. So top guy, and what we did in January for him with that tifo, I hope that I hope he realised how much we love him.
Yeah, and it's just great when you're, as a manager, especially someone young. Yes, he's been a player. His career ended, early. He had obviously was plagued by more of his injuries towards the end of his career, but obviously ended prematurely. But went straight in to get his coaching badges. I think he was around 32, 33 at that stage, and and then being thrown straight into the the youth team setup. And then being given that opportunity to manage the first team, and in the Championship as well, James. That's no easy feat, is it, for even an experienced manager in a lower league?
Of course, and you mentioned there him, of course, being the under-18s head coach. I think that really helped us actually during his tenure at Watford, because the pathway between the academy and first team at Watford has always been, quite difficult to break into. And we saw, so many new debutants last season from the 23s, the 18s, and even lower as well. So yeah, for me, that's another positive to him. I'm not sure what state your academy is in, but you do have some promising young talents. I'm sure he'll look to blood them into the first team.
Yeah, I think that's a really sort of key one, really for us. And we've just built an academy called Folkestone Park, a development that the club have invested heavily into. The club, we do have great ownership. It doesn't always go perfectly well, and obviously with the recent appointments, in the championship, it's not been fantastic. So it's made the club a little bit unsettled. But we've invested a lot of money, over 20 million in Folkestone Park. We want to build a really good academy to bring up the youth. Our friends up the road, I won't mention them, have successfully developed youngsters, and that's proved dividends for them. And that's where we want to really take that step forward. And we got a few in there. One that everybody's wondering what's going on with, a young lad called Tegan Finn. Rooney touted him really highly, and then all of a sudden, towards the end of the season, we hear nothing. But we'll find out about that. But it's great, I suppose, that Cleverley has that and wants to, has come from that youth himself, has had huge experience with growing up with Manchester United, and is, loves working with people as well, he said, which is, well, you got to, haven't you, really, in this game?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned his pedigree as well. Of course, he was at Manchester United under Alex Ferguson. He had numerous loans to quite high-profile clubs as well. And during his time at Watford, especially during the latter end of his career, he was with us during our most successful time. He was part of the team that nearly qualified for Europe. He was part of the team that reached the Emirates FA Cup final against Manchester City. So, this isn't, a guy, who's got no experience in the game. This is, Tom Cleverley has been there. He's done it all. He's played at the highest level. And also for me, he's at an age where he understands what professional footballers and what young professional footballers want and need. He understands how social media works and how that has an effect on them. So yeah, he's really, he's down with the kids, if you will. That's the way to describe him.
Yeah, he said that on a recent interview that someone shared in our WhatsApp group, and he said, "Yeah, I'm down with the kids. I know what music, I know what the slang is, all this sort of stuff." And you touched upon his work ethic, and even in there, he said the family were testament to the late nights and weekends, watching kids, filming the kids football to see what's going on there. He's clearly someone that obviously has had the fortune of being a talented footballer, going through the biggest club at the time there, with the huge success, experience with that manager, and people that doesn't always work. Players coming into management, as we know, certainly with Rooney, for our pains. But he's clearly just absorbed all that as a sponge and taken that forward on his journey into his own coaching and managerial career.
Absolutely. And for me, as I said in my TikTok, when the first rumours come out, us as Watford fans, we're almost, Plymouth Argyle are going to be our second team for the foreseeable future because, of course, Luton Town got relegated last season as well. So for our sake, we need you to do a job over them in the league. So, our eyes are going to be firmly kept on your results this season. And you mentioned the pedigree there as well. As you say, Wayne Rooney was part of that Alex Ferguson side. It didn't quite work out for him when it comes to management. And I have to say, Wayne Rooney, I'm not a huge fan myself, I've got to say. So it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on him potentially. But Tom Cleverley, I'm repeating myself really here, but top professional, top bloke, and I'm sure we'll dive into the tactics and formations he likes to play as well in just a short moment.
Yeah, that's the next question. Before I do that, I just read out some of the comments that we've got in here. So I like this one, made me laugh, from Kenny. Good evening, Kenny. Are we sure James is a Watford fan with all that green in the background? Obviously, it was just for this show tonight.
I did it just for you guys. Absolutely.
And GT, good evening. Good to see you in. As a side, it's worth commenting on how nice all the Watford fans have been over the last few days. We were touching upon that just now. So since the appointment, what a great bunch they are, and a credit to their club, 100%. Richard Francis, evening, Richard. James, can you see Tom doing the 3 years as we need stability? I think We'll come on to that in a minute, because there is always that risk for us being seen as that stepping stone. But we've got some stuff on that later. Just to Jana, again, we've had a bad run since Schumacher leaving, and that's been quite some time now. We're still waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel and hoping it's round the corner. This is where I think it could be with a young up-and-coming manager like Tom, and the way that our club is run. I think that could be a really good match. So yeah, on tactics. So, give us an overview. We've seen and obviously researched and looked at what his sort of style is, and we've got some more on that in our presentation deck for the guys later. Tell us a bit about where he's most comfortable and where it's worked, and where it also went wrong as well in that tail end of the season.
Okay, so we kind of started the season playing a back five. So we'd have the three centre backs, the two fullbacks pushing quite advanced. It was almost like a 3-4-2-1, if you will, was how we started last season. Once the better and more talented players come back from injury, especially defensively, Tom was very quick to switch to a back four. And when he switched to that, he very much stayed that way for the remainder of the season. And especially in the January transfer window, we brought in Caleb Wiley, we brought in James Abankwah. These were two very quick, agile defenders. And Tom, because he presses so high and he loves to play such a high line, having quick, fast centre-backs who can cover and recover very quickly is very key to his system. So, yeah, for the first 2 to 3 months, it was a 3-4-2-1, if you will. And then the second half of the season, it was more a 4-3-2-1. He loves playing wingers, very direct, and always played with that sole striker up front. You'd never see Tom Cleverley playing a 4-4-2, no Brexit football. We didn't see any Sean Dyche stuff at Watford. It was, always with a sole striker playing up top.
Yeah, no, I mean, Gavin, we've just to bring Gavin in, sort of on our slides later, Gavin's done some stuff on in that as well on the sort of tactics. But we were discussing earlier, weren't we, Gavin, that there's probably a little bit of Rooney and a bit of Mueslich sort of rolled up into what Tom Cleverley might bring to us. Oh, are you on mute? Let's have a look. Can't hear you.
Yeah, I've got you. Sorry. Yeah. From what I've seen, you correct me if I'm wrong, James, seems like we've got... when Miron was here, and I don't know if we played you when Miron was our coach or not, or whether it was double Rooney. It might have been. It was double Rooney early in the season, and then
I think it was.
And then away. So Miron had us really high press, but we were very direct up the pitch. So early doors, it was just boot the ball as hard as you can upfield, like League Two, to try and get it away from our goal. As his system started to develop, we played very quick transitional football. We were often under the cosh, and we won games with like 25% possession.
Yeah.
Rooney was the other way. It was like watch it through your fingers most of the time. When we were good, we were very, very good. And when we were bad, we were horrid, to coin a phrase. We would be an open door for a lot of the time. But it feels like a bit of that sort of high press from the football I saw anyway, of on Sky and the live stuff we did against Watford. High press, try and win the ball as far up the pitch as possible, quickly as possible. But actually, if you're deep in possession, try and play through the thirds. Would that be a fair assumption?
I think that's a fair assumption. I think Tom Cleverley values possession quite highly. And if there isn't a real clear goal scoring opportunity, he'd rather probably recycle the ball and create, I hate using the word XG, but I think my initial assumptions were he'd rather create a higher probability of scoring rather than, shooting from 20, 30 yards out when it's very unlikely. Yeah. So, he values possession quite highly. Of course, if the chance happens, you win the ball quite high. If you have counter-attacking players like we did through Georgie Shakpatatse and Kwadwo Bar, he'd absolutely love to play that way. But when injuries struck, I think that's when Tom started to struggle, especially in that second half of the season. So, I think you got your assumptions pretty spot on.
Yeah, no, excellent. There you go, Gav. So at least for later on when we get to that section of the show,
we're not quickly deleting stuff behind the scenes out with that.
That's it. Yeah, I'm working away.
I think if a lot of the fans, obviously that we talk to, either around the stands or on this platform or whatever, I think if we had one wish last year, it was to take all the best bits of Rooney and all the best bits of Miron and smash them together. Because I think a lot of people got turned off by the direct football. I wasn't one of them. But being an ex-tight head prop, there you go, Matt. I got rugby reference in early. I quite like direct football. I quite like smash and grab, but there's a lot of purists out there that want to see us play the ball around, which is lovely. But if we were more rigid at the back and had better defensive structure, we'd have. Well, I don't think Rooney would have got the sack, quite frankly.
Just to butt in, James. Cleverley likes to play it with the goalkeeper from the back, doesn't he? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, so that was a massive change for us last season, actually. So we started the year with Daniel Backman as our goalkeeper. He'd been at the club for quite a substantial amount of time. He was one of our longest serving players, actually. And that was a key area Tom wanted to address in the January transfer window. He brought in, as I mentioned, Caleb Wiley and James Abankwa. But our biggest acquisition in January was actually that new goalkeeper, Egil Selvig. And one of his biggest qualities was the ability to obviously play out from the back, calmly under pressure. And that's something our previous goalkeeper didn't have. So again, I'm not sure what your goalkeeping situation is like at the
that's what the question was for, wasn't it? Because...
To answer your question, James, we had one very good footballer who could have played sweeper in any team in the land, who had poppadom hands, and we've got one phenomenal shot stopper who's great in the air, commands his box really well, but unfortunately he's got 2 drivers for feet. So putting is not his big strong point if you're to use a golf.
I think Hazard has improved with his kicking, but if we're going to be playing out from the back regularly under Cleverley, then we're going to have another option, aren't we?
Yeah. He struggled early on, to be fair, Hazard, didn't he? Playing from the back.
Yeah, he's got a lot better, and Miran asked him to play a lot of diagonal balls into sort of wide wing backs to move the ball at the pitch, and he hit them with an outstanding accuracy in the last sort of 15 or so games. He was injured a couple of times, but early doors, it was literally car crash TV watching him trying to play Rooney ball because he just wasn't equipped to do it.
No, and especially as you would have known, James, Michael Cooper, who went early to Sheffield United. So it's sort of there's a lot of pressure going on there, and then the whole collapsing that you noted about. Tom sort of struggling when he had injuries, and one of the weaknesses that Argyle have always suffered is the depth of squad. And if you're gonna sort of give anything to Rooney, it will be that the injuries all came at the wrong time, plus a couple of red cards, and it just unsettled the whole squad. Dan Grimshaw, who's going off to Norwich now, it seems passed a fitness test, I believe I read earlier or saw the other day. It was just a calamity of errors for him, and it didn't bode well. And that spell really was awful before Rooney left. And so that's the thing I think with Tom coming in with his tactics. It's sort of like with a smaller squad, the board will hopefully support him, but he's still going to have that issue where he isn't going to have the luxury of the depth of squad. And another sort of point that I've sort of seen is, did a lot of the players that were bought in, was he really involved with or not? And did he felt pressure to use them?
So this is where, as I mentioned earlier, he loved to speak to us in the media, which was great as fans, because communication is what football fans want, right? However, on certain transfers, he sometimes spoke before deals were completed. And then if they fell through, of course, as fans, we felt naturally disappointed. What I would say with Tom, when it comes to transfers and recruitment, is that because of the pedigree he has as a person and as a player, you are more likely to attract them higher caliber loans from Championship or even Premier League clubs. I know we were speaking to Manchester United, Chelsea last season as well. We spoke to you quite regularly. So because of the person he is, you might actually, and you might have seen that with Wayne Rooney as well. I'm not too sure. But he does have the ability to attract, quite a high caliber of talent for the level you'll be playing at. And when it comes to depth of squad, I mean, how are you guys looking financially? Are you going to be one of the stronger teams in?
We'll be top 3, I think, financially in League One.
Okay, that's interesting. So,
James, actually, just to add to that, we'll probably have one of the biggest player budgets that we've had available to any manager for a very long time. So that will be a significant difference. Ever.
Biggest playing budget that a manager's ever had at this club.
Yeah.
Okay, that's positive, because the general consensus from Watford fans was that he wasn't backed adequately by our owners. And for some reason, since the new transfer window started just a few weeks ago, we've been buying some fantastic players. And I think that's because, Tom Cleverley wasn't Gino Pozzo's appointment. Our CEO, Scott Duxbury, made it very clear that Tom Cleverley was his appointment. And it appears as soon as Gino Pozzo got his new man in, he was able to spend a little bit of money, which is very frustrating as Watford fans. But if he's backed adequately with the players he wants, he will do very well.
I think one of the big differences between Watford, and I'm speaking from the outside here, and Plymouth, which I know obviously we all know pretty well, is the back office support, if you like, for the manager. So like the whole of the club is quite on the same page. So there's no internal fighting. There's no choppy waters to step onto as captain of the ship. You're walking up the gangplank and the water's really, really calm. And I think, Shuey in particular did a really good job at harvesting that togetherness. And that's what got us 101 points with, I think, 15th budget in League One at that time. So how does that work then in terms of him coming into an environment where if he does the job, he'll get the 3-year tenure with no problem? We'll probably ask him to stay on for another couple rather than keep looking over his shoulder every 5 minutes saying, I lost Saturday. Am I going to be there on Monday?
I think with Tom Cleverley, you have to think he's probably gone in for his first role in football. He's probably gone into the most unstable environment possible. Watford arguably is the most chaotic club in the entire football league. So going into somewhere like Plymouth is probably he's probably having a big sigh of relief to Cleverley personally himself. So I think that would be a big benefit to him. So for me,
I'd say Stoke can hold your beer for a minute though.
I have to say a few clubs are rivaling Watford's
and Hull. Stoke and Hull, if they're not the brides, they're certainly the bridesmaids very quickly.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, this segues us nicely into, the sort of coaching staff, the team that he had behind him. I believe Damon Lafrot, if I pronounced that correctly, also left when Clev left. So, what can you tell us about, who did go, who's still there? We have a slide, guys, on it for later on. But it'd be great to get your sort of feedback on that situation.
Yeah, particularly Damon Laythorpe. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So Damon is almost Tom Cleverley's right-hand man. So I would fully expect him to come into Plymouth if it hasn't been announced as yet. In regards to the other people we discussed before we started this podcast, it's kind of up in the air at the moment because there was a few restructurings of staff that happened throughout last season. So when Tom Cleverley took the job initially, he brought in certain people he wanted around. A couple of months later, they all then moved on to other jobs. A new batch of staff. So actually, other than Damon, it's very. I'm quite unsure actually as to who else he'll bring in. I know you mentioned a couple of set piece coaches there as well. Omar Reza is someone he really likes. He obviously took the job at Cardiff City quite recently before losing his job there as well. So the only one I can say for certain will join Tom, from my understanding, would be Damon Laythorpe. Other than that, it's up in the air for me. I can't give you too much more on that, I'm afraid.
No, I think Damon start as the women's team coach. Am I right saying that?
He did. Yeah, you are correct. So Damon worked with the Watford FC women's. Tom was quite impressed with his work there. Joined him in the under-18s role, and then of course when Tom was appointed, he brought Damon alongside him.
Yeah, I think for us, we've still got sort of a couple of sort of people that came in, Adam Wasn't Basic and a few others that Eddie Lattimore, etc. That are they going to go off and join Muslich and Schalke? I think that there's a likelihood that will happen. One of the biggest mistakes we made with Rooney is not really supporting him properly when he started, and I think hopefully we sort of learn that lesson. But we got Nance that will still be there, who is sort of will be brilliant as an assistant in that role as well, to support and get him embedded into the players, the club, the culture of the place. You need that sort of person, and he'll have that. The same with Joe Edwards as our captain. So it will be interesting. Did he work with a set piece coach as well within that back room?
So yeah, it was interesting. So Paul Robinson actually was our set piece coach up until about January, February time when
he's you need that sort of person.
I've lost you, James, for a minute.
Yeah, James might have just lost you briefly there.
Yeah, we've lost you, James.
Lost sound. I just tried to bring lost sound, James. I just tried to bring Harvey in. Harvey, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Even of.
Yeah. For some reason, 2 seconds, James. I'm just going to turn him off and bring him back in. James, yeah, but we've lost your sound.
Are you on mute? Have you muted yourself? Are you on mute?
No. James, do you want to come out and just jump back in? Yeah. Let's jump out and back in. There we go. You might be. I know he hasn't got long left, folks. So it's just as I was bringing you in, Harvey. Then all of a sudden it killed his sound. So apologies for that, folks.
My fault.
And then all of a sudden he turns up, doesn't he?
He was going to hold on for another 10 minutes, so we'll wait for him, folks, to come back in. But Harvey, while you're there, while I just munch on a chocolate digestive for anybody that knows the reference. How are we doing, Harv?
Yeah, all good. I won my tournament today. So
Hey, well done.
Well done, mate.
I'm happy as Larry. But where's my Block 9 t-shirt?
Well, these are a couple of new designs.
Only the elite have them, apparently.
Mine must have lost in the post, should I?
Fresh off the press. Literally today, fresh off the press for Andy.
Yeah. And the hat as well, Hive. Look at this hat, mate. Hey.
Oh, I need one of them. I've got a dodgy airline. I need one of them.
There he is. Right, hang on.
Rootin' tootin' cowboy now.
James, are you back?
Hello. Can you
There
hear
we
me?
go. So, James, apologies. As I brought Harvey in, he seems to disrupt everywhere he goes. It just killed your sound.
Oh, Harvey, what have you done?
My bad, fellas. My bad.
So yeah, so if you want to say that last segment piece, set pieces we were talking about.
Yeah, so Paul Robinson did a lot of the opposition analysis. He would actually post on his Instagram quite regularly when he was going off to kind of opposition teams several weeks before we played them to kind of scout their corners, free kicks, and all their routines. So Damon will definitely come in alongside as his assistant, I would imagine, and Paul Robinson, if he wants to move that down south once again, I think would come in as the set piece coach. But from my understanding, I think he wanted to move back to his family, back up in the Midlands. So I think that's probably unlikely to happen, unfortunately.
No, well, our set piece coach was only appointed until the end of the season, Hubert Auer, if I've pronounced that surname right. But yeah, there could be a gap there. And like I said, just then, if Osman Basic goes, if Latimore goes, predicted that, Daryl Flavhaven, the goalkeeping coach, might go and join Shuey. So there will be, besides Nance, there will be quite a shake-up potentially coming. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, just touching obviously with the last 10 minutes or so with you, James.
Yes.
As my voice clearly starts to dry out, which most people will be going, thank God for that.
Any more digestives, please?
No, that's the problem.
We go on a medical emergency on a live.
The wrong way, isn't it?
No, that's a reference to the Tales from the Block episode, the latest. We'll touch upon that in a moment. But yeah, so highs and lows for you. Obviously, you mentioned the FA Cup, but sort of is there some special? There's probably you've said a lot really, so there's going to be a lot of special memories, and you want to follow him through. But yeah, any particular other highs and lows to add?
Andre Gray,
Yes,
God, don't remind me. Please don't remind me of that. Certainly not a special memory, I can assure you. But no, Tom Cleverley. Look, I think Tom Cleverley is a player. He was never the most talented player in the pitch, but what he was a workhorse. He was that classic box-to-box, tenacious midfielder, and he'd always, win the ball back and lay it off to the more talented attacking players. So have I actually got any, major highs from Tom Cleverley as a Watford player? I don't think there's any real standout moments, but what I believe is the standout is just who he is as a person, and I think the message that I have to keep reiterating to you, he has a goal in him, of course, but obviously that's not relevant now as is your manager. But he was part of that squad that reached the FA Cup final. We nearly qualified for Europe that season. He secured a Premier League promotion with us during that COVID season as well under Xisco Munoz. He captained the side quite regularly as well. And he's, as I said, he's just an all-round top guy. So any highs as a player, not really that come to memory other than, of course, the FA Cup final. As a manager, the first half of the season last year was sensational. I mean, we were competing, very high up in the league. We were in the top 6 for a very long time. Obviously, post-Christmas, that dropped off through a variety of reasons in the transfer window and injuries. But even the performances in the second half of the season, I found to be at quite a high level, and I found we were quite unlucky at times. So, I can assure you're in very good hands here with Tom.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting exciting. I've just have to say, I just had to mute Harvey. A professional YouTube vlogger gets up with his microphone on, grabs the most noisiest water bottle, marches around his room. It's worse than Gavin.
Sorry, this is my off season. This is my normal break. This is my break.
Well, the live lounge is a more relaxed affair. Is definitely more a relaxed affair.
Once a pro, always a pro, Harv. That's what you keep telling us.
Oh, no, not with me. Not with me. I'm part-timer.
James, quick question, James. Would you say that Tom Cleverley had an amount of loyalty about him to one club, or is he going to get poached by someone else?
So this is my only concern for you guys. So of course he signed a 3-year contract with Plymouth. My fear is that if he does really well with you, he won't actually see out the contract. Similar almost to Kieran McKenna at Ipswich, I would compare him to, where he does really well and lots of big clubs are coming sniffing around him. So that would be my only concern. But so far, given his career at Watford and how he left us, I think he would be very loyal to you regardless of the circumstances. So I don't think loyalty should be a massive concern at all. He's one of the most loyal people in football.
Do you think so? With Miron, it felt like his career aspirations and his will to drive himself up the pyramid was the undoing of him and leaving us. Do you think that level of drive and ambition will outweigh the loyalty, or do you think if he's getting us to top of League One and we're going to go in the Champ, he'll stay with us to say, well, let's consolidate in the Champ and then look for a Premier League job? Or do you think, come Christmas, we're second in the league, we've only lost one, and I don't know, Bristol City knock on his door because they've done badly, he'll be off like a shoot? What do you think?
I think he will stay with you if you get promoted. And I think it shows a lot about him as a person that he was willing to make that step down to League One. He was being sniffed around by Norwich, and those links were quite concrete. He was being interviewed alongside Jack Wilshere, and obviously he didn't get a Norwich job in the end. But for him to go, actually, I want to prove myself at that level and hopefully consolidate in the Championship next season if it goes to plan. Again, shows what he's like as a person. And of course, he's spoken before in the media and to Watford fans about his aspirations to manage at the very top level one day. I believe he ultimately wants to go back to Manchester United at some point as kind of his ultimate end goal. But loyalty and consolidating next season, if that's a possibility, once again, it shouldn't be a concern for you. As I said, for him to drop down to the level, given the interest around him, should be a real statement. And actually, if he was the Watford manager still currently, in my mind, there would have been clubs willing to pay compensation for Tom as well if he was still contracted to us. So
it's the one thing that I touched upon it earlier that we don't have to accept, but you sort of do as an Argyle fan. As being a stepping stone for a club. Carl's feeding some of the comments in under the Block 9 tag, and he's adding in his usual jokes. He's just pitting there about as long as Stoke don't send another helicopter down. I think with Tom, there is that. He's a player that's been hugely successful. Has done very well for himself, so he doesn't have to chase the dollar to say that, but we all know, and he has said that, the Championship is where he wants to be. I'm certain, that the club, and I sort of tied this into the fictional part of Tales from the Block episode, where, he would have wanted to have made sure that the club are really, keen to get back into the Championship. And the big investment that, Simon sort of said last October was coming and then didn't materialise, that wouldn't have helped. But they are absolutely behind committing to the club to get it forward and back up there. And I think for Tom, that would have been a key thing as part of the interview process. And look, we've signed 4 players. James, 3 were free transfers. We're going to touch upon them later. But, and also Bradley Ibrahim for an undisclosed fee. So we're not sitting on our hands either. Yes, those players might have been more for Mueslich, but as sort of Cleverley comes in and any other players they might have sort of hit the brakes on until he joins, I think there will be some good signings there. And yes, we're going to touch upon Hardy and the Randalls and stuff where there's still question marks over theirs. So from me, just on my final points with you, James, before you shoot, and then I'll go around the board quickly. But obviously, one of the questions was, is he the right fit for Argyle? But I think in the whole of this, you've answered it, and I'm even more excited, as I'm sure the viewers and that are, and the guys are too. I have a fun question at the end. So if you were going to sum him up in an Elton John song, which one would it be?
Oh, this is hard. You put me on the spot. I'll go Rocket Man.
There we go. Just send us straight back up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go through. Harvey, seeing as you've not long joined us, have you got a question for James?
If you, as a Watford fan, had to accept one player for Cleverley to take, who would you take? Who would you say, you know what, fair play, I'll let him come down to Plymouth?
Oh, okay. I thought this might come up actually. So, one player for Cleverley to take. It wouldn't surprise me actually if he does maybe approach Watford for 1 or 2 players. So, I'll go for the player he may take. I'll go Tom Dele-Bashiru. He's a central midfielder from the Manchester City Academy. He's been at the club for quite a while now. But given the people we've brought in so far during the transfer window at the moment, I feel Tom Dele is probably set to leave at some point in the next year or so. So, yeah, I'll go Tom Dele-Bashiru to join.
We'll happily take loser off your hands.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
Well, there certainly could be some academy players, that he could sort of bring down and give them a bigger chance of getting some first team action. Gavin, question or anything for James?
Yeah, just one thing. So the senior management football team now is going to be Tom, 35, I think. Mm-hmm. David Fox, 40, I'm guessing. Someone might want to mob that. And Tom Randall, who's also late 30s, early 40s. So, like we were talking our last pod, which was a who, why, what, and when. We talked about having that young team that all sort of grow up together. Is that a good thing, or do you think he needs a wily old head around him to sort of put him on the straight and narrow now and again?
I think he might need an experienced head, and he's alluded to that himself before. I think Paul Robinson at Watford was that experienced pro. Paul had played at Watford before, and I felt probably that was the older head, not significantly older, but he was much more experienced. He'd been at Millwall previously as well, so it might be a slight detriment, but I think Tom is intelligent enough to hold himself up quite comfortably. So it's not a necessity, but maybe it could be viewed as a negative if your entire setup is of a certain age.
Yeah, excellent. Carl doesn't have any questions because you've answered loads.
He's covered so much. My mind's gone completely blank.
Yeah, it's good. So, Andy, any final questions from you?
Yeah, just a quick one. I noticed that he's very good with sort of getting the arm around the player, mental health wise, and sort of supporting younger players as well. So, I don't know where I'm going with this. Will he sort of? Do you think
he's good at nurturing players and bringing them through?
Is he sort of good with the nurturing side of that as well?
Certainly, I think again, you have to go back to the time he spent with the under-18s, the coaching badges he did as well. We did alongside Gareth Southgate as part of the FA course at St George's Park. So again, that was an experience he mentioned he valued quite highly. And mental health and young players' mental health specifically was something he has mentioned in the media before. So yeah, again with the young players, as I said, he's only recently retired in the last couple of years himself, so he understands when people get injured, when they've had bad performances. He knows what's that like. So again, there shouldn't be any concerns in that regard.
No, spot on. So James, absolute pleasure. Appreciate you staying on a little bit longer as well. Look, it's we've heard a lot from Watford fans on a few of the shows that we're fortunate enough as Argyle to have, and it's just been brilliant. And I think really excited for the season. Obviously, we wish you well in the Championship. We will do our best to do one on Luton for you,
please.
And I think what we'll do absolutely as well, James, is bring you in during the season, and then we can sort of touch wood at that point or whatever point we choose. Everything is going well, with the appointment. But yeah, absolute pleasure having you in. I did have. Let me just see if I can bring it up because it was meant to be on this slide, but for some reason my computer was playing up. But I did just want to show the guys your channel. Hopefully you can see that. Harvey noticed I subscribed to this one. Remember that?
yeah, that makes a change, doesn't it?
So yes, that is where you can find James at the Watford Way on YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok. And you're fairly active with your shorts and that on TikTok as well, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. TikTok is something I'm trying to push now. I neglected it, but for quite a while. So it's a lot to do.
Yeah, it's where we started.
It's a lot to do with one person doing all social media platforms, but it's something I enjoy doing. Hopefully, one day I can work into football. That's my ultimate aim. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it. It's a great hobby to have, and I'm more than happy to pop on later in the season if you want to bring me back in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll stay in touch. So yeah, we will let you go. If you can, go and check out Tales from the Block, and especially episode 4, as we mentioned, or fictionalise the story around Cleverley's signing in our new series. We'll touch upon that later. But James, thank you very much. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
James.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye. So right, as it's now left to the 5 of us. So hopefully everybody found that insightful. There's been some brilliant, like I said, fans contributing to the Argyle pods, and it just you do feel like this could be a really, really key appointment. And as the title said, a cleverly orchestrated appointment, excuse the pun, from the Argyle board. So in our usual style, but as I stop to take a little bit of a breath as well, we do have our slide deck for those that are used to the show and know what we do here. So yes, we are the Block 9 podcast. We've been going, it's nearly our anniversary coming next month. So a year doing this. Alluded to them, we started off originally on TikTok and then brought this over to X and YouTube, and we are on Blue Sky as well, Instagram, starting to build that. But it takes a lot, even with the help of the guys, to manage all these channels and bring you the content that we do. We like to bring our side and point of difference, hence the slide deck. It's not death by PowerPoint, but Gavin and I pull this together with the help of tools to help us get that done. It's our style of doing it. After the show, I'll wrap it all up, put the audio on Acast, and that will distribute out to all your favourite podcast channels. So if you missed the part with James at the start, I will also separate that out as well. That will be on there, and it will also be available, obviously, as soon as we finish on YouTube. So for those that had some questions as we were going through with James, trying to sort of be conscious of his time, you can go back and listen. But what we will do is now sort of a bit of regurgitate some of that and more points that relate to us. Also, you can obviously check out our website at the Block 9, and we will be working on a few more merchandising options. And I can see Ben Collins joined us a little bit earlier. He has now got nearly a full set of mugs. He's just missing yours, Gavin.
I'm about as popular as Thrush, clearly.
So appreciate you placing that order as well, Ben, and others that have purchased those mugs. And there's more stuff to come. He did also get, which is not on the website, but if you can see it, the Maxi mug I did earlier in the season. So, right. So we shall move on. So let me just skip to the next slide. Let me just read some of the comments. Actually, I've just seen one drop in. Martin Ingham. Andy's one of Andy's friends. Martin, good to see you back in. Mike saw the messages coming in. How was he going to choose without Plaguey holding his hand? It was a problem bigger than the board's decision to appoint a new manager, and there wasn't much time. Yeah, it's a lot of people were impatient, weren't they, for the decision? But we wanted to make sure that at the end of the day, this was done right. Shout out to Plaguey if he's watching tonight. He might be. He might be.
40 minutes, Mike.
You didn't, Julio.
And you've only just mentioned Plaguey after 40 minutes. I reckon the whole Pleguezuelo family now just shut up and gone for a walk. If Mike don't love us anymore, poke it.
They might have just signed in, so it's like perfect timing.
Yeah.
So yes, to all the players that are enjoying the off season and certainly now with the news, hopefully received positively, as I'm sure it would have done. So what we got here, his playing career timeline. So Gavin and I put these slides together. I will go around the panel as we do it, but do you want to just summarise this slide?
Yeah. Well, I think James did it perfectly. To be fair, going over road ground, but clearly good player in his youth. Watford on loan from Man United and back again, and then I think the stuff he did at Man United, he was one of those really unsung heroes. A bit, dare I say it, a bit Houghton-esque. Before I start getting pelters of myself, but did the simple things really well. Cleaned up well, got Man United going up the pitch really well. What he achieved, I thought, in his career with, you'd say, for the top end of the Premier League, limited ability, I thought he was brilliant. And that's obviously dealt him in good stead. He's worked with some great managers, both at England and obviously at his clubs. So I'm happy to say that, I think this is going to be a good foundation, a good build for his experience for him to go on and have a thriving managerial career under Argyle, we hope.
Yeah, absolutely. So although for those that have been with us since the start, like I said, we will be going over some points that James helped us digest about Tom. It's important for those that joined us late as well. We will try and bring some of that into it. So, as player stats, 242 matches played in his professional career, 13 international England caps and 1 honours with the Premier League title. He did also play for the Great British team in the Olympics, for those that remember that. But his career was plagued by injuries, cutting his playing time short. And I did hear about him receiving a Player of the Year or Season award at Watford on crutches. Just says everything towards the tail end of his career.
He might have a spare pair of crutches for Galloway then, if he could bring them down with him.
Oh, Carl, nasty!
Hey, put your talons away, Carl. Meow.
Nasty. So Gav, do you want to do this one?
So obviously, again, James did this perfectly and far better than we ever will, knowing him acutely. But getting out of the playing squad into an 18s coaching role, which I thought was probably the bit that Wayne Rooney probably never did, is with his extra profile. I think he's done this the right way. And another man that's potentially off to Cardiff's done the same. I think if you have a good playing career and then you get into those academy basis, understanding, I think what Andy said earlier about the whole mental health thing, about nurturing young talent of the future and all that good stuff, it only drives you in good stead. And then I think when you identify those really good talents early, and we've got Roberts and Osaka, Hatch this year on the roster. Have all got really good talent, and potentially Tegan Finn, depending on what happens with him. I think that gives him that extra dimension to his ability to bring players through, which is great. And then an interim manager, because I think James politely said it's a revolving door at Watford, not quite as bad as as Stoke, where the dawn never stops. At least there, I suppose, he's had a little time to stop and cool down, and then gone on to be permanent manager for quite some time, really, for Watford. 14 odd months, 15 months. That's quite a
got to be a record.
Well, it has. You probably got a carriage clock after 12 months, I'd imagine. At the end of the season, and his PPG is not good, not bad either, is it? But just under 1.3 points per match, 33% win rate in the champ, with quite frankly a basket of a club behind the scenes. You're having money, you're not having money, as was alluded to by James as well. I think he's outperformed his XG, if you like, to use a modern phrase, as a manager at that club, and for him to, I think, realise the opportunity at Argyle and to be sold on the journey and everything else, for me, gives us a really good platform to build from. And I think, don't underestimate the fact he'll walk in the mornings, make his coffee with a calm environment around him, rather than bedlam. I think that's going to be a massive change for him. And don't forget, he's not going to be in the outskirts of London. He's going to be down in Carrot Muncher land, where we are. And nothing goes on. Ask Ballymumba's missus. Meow, I'll get one in now. And I think that'll make a massive difference, being able to Miron-esque walk over to Mount Edgecombe and probably live in the William Yard and have a nice early coffee before he gets to the ground. All these things are going to help him, I think, have a clear mind and execute his plans in a far more relaxed way than he is living on the outskirts of London with a nut job of an owner.
Yeah, I think Harvey, I'll come to you with this one. One of the differences, if you look at the comparisons with him and Rooney, is, just Rooney's just aura, his, just on a different level of being, known and famous, and whereas Cleverley did his job at United and suffered a few issues, but he's taken the right approach, to going into it, and there isn't that pressure, that PR, that all the press wanting to see what Rooney's going to do next when he comes. And I think this is where for Tom, we said earlier, you weren't in at the time, but to James, that he was, for a young manager who had to retire early, coming into then, managing Watford in the Championship, in probably one of the second toughest leagues in Europe. It was no easy feat for anybody. So I think he's going to do so well, I think, with us.
Yeah, 100%. I think the difference between Rooney and Cleverley is that Rooney sort of had everyone and anyone on his back, and I think that everyone, apart from maybe most Argyle fans, was more waiting for him to fail. I think every time we lost, he got battered, and that obviously caused a strain on himself, as it would with anyone. But Cleverley's coming in a much different light, I believe. When I heard Cleverley as one of the names shortlisted, I knew that was the person I wanted out of the shortlisted names. And I think you can see from the reaction of Watford fans when he did leave or get sacked in May. I think it was quite a shock, and he definitely did hold his own in the Championship. So, yeah, I think if he can get backed by the board, get a few players in that he wants, get the coaching staff in that he wants, we'll be in for a good season next season.
Yeah, and he's got the time, the same as when sort of Rooney was appointed, really, that, the club had got the time to help sort that out for him and do it properly this time. A lesson learned, you could say. Risks and watch points with a fabulous AI-generated graphic to the right there. Not any way, shape or form looking like Tom Cleverley. But, Gavin, do you want to spin through this one?
Yeah, there's risk to every appointment, isn't there? Let's be candid. If anyone can come in and guarantee promotion and win, 2 odd points a game, then I'm sure the owners would be sitting on a yacht somewhere in Monaco, not even bothering with the interview. So there's going to be. I think from the shortlist that we had, I think Harv's hit the nail on the head. Probably the front runner. Good pedigree in terms of the league above. He's only done 59 games as a coach, as a manager. Fine. Yes, he had a stinker back end of the season, but I think James has let us know why that was, and around injuries and stuff, which is fine. And I think early part of the year they were a top 6 and pushing top 6, which is punching probably well above their weight in terms of the champ. And I'll reiterate it again. I think this whole sort of Watford sacking scenario, where if you lose on a Saturday, you're probably watching your mobile phone on the Sunday to say, "Can we have a meeting Monday morning?" Thinking you're out the door. He ain't getting that from Simon. I think this will be another Shuey appointment where the guy can lose 12 on the bounce. We're sticking with him. It's a long-term project. And I think that we're one very unique club, I think, in the pyramid of football, where when we stick on someone, we give them that flexibility to try new things, take risks with bringing young kids into the team and all that good stuff. I think he's going to find, and the part of where we live, which is beautiful. And as we all know, quite a refreshing place to live in terms of stress and all that type of jazz. Dartmoor, the coast, Hoe, Barbican. He'll have that freedom, I think, that mental freedom to execute his job. So I think, yes, there's a risk with every job. Yes, he hasn't got 20 years of championship experience or League One experience or EFL experience like some people that were mentioned on have, but they're dinosaurs. I think this is the way forward, and Simon loves a character like this who's got that massive upward trajectory, big ceiling, a bit of a name as well, which will obviously potentially help with a new investor. All that good stuff. I think roll it up. It's perfect time for him and perfect time for us. And I saw it in one of the comments a minute ago. It's a very big I think it was Accidental Pilgrim, a very big appointment for both sides and a big statement for both agencies. There you go. So yes, there's risk. There's always risk. But I think of the people that we had available to us who were happy to take the job in our price bracket and all the good stuff that goes with it, by far the most standout character.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, just the more we go on, the more I'm like, and as Accidental Pilgrim has said, and good evening if I haven't already said that to you, 7 weeks until kickoff. Is it really? It's mad. Also, Harold, good evening. He's back. Good evening, Greens. Do you reckon Cleverley will take us back up? Yep, like a rocket man, mate. Absolutely. So jump in to the next slide. Being a fit for Plymouth Argyle, energetic, progressive tactics. We said with James how this could be a mix. Gavin noted it to me earlier on. We'll come to it later in the slide, but a mix of Rooney and Miron going on. So it does worry us about playing with the keeper at the back. Carl, as you asked that question with James, knowing what Hazard can be like. Player development, again, known to level up young players. We are looking to build on that with Falston Park and that development. So that I think would have really piqued his interest as well during the interviewing process. So that's good. Obviously, a youngster himself, as most players are, but obviously he's gone through that at the very top level. And relevance to the club, feels age relevant. As Gavin touched upon, and we got a bit more on it. The age group, as you look at the structure of the football now, with Tom Randall and David Fox in there, and yes, I think it was Accidental Pilgrim, or someone said about, will Andrew Parkinson now shoot off to Blackburn? I don't believe he's going anywhere. And a good fit, for the club and the community. And I would like to think that we will also see him out there watching the youth in the youth games, as he said he likes to do. So, Gavin, this one's for you again, executive leadership and that football structure, as we just touched on.
I think this will be one of the big things that will whilst the rain's hitting the window at Home Park and the skies are grey, just to set the scene. I think this structure will be really clear to him. And if you look at those bottom three, touched on it with James, really. David Fox, 41. I think Tom Randall, early 40s too. Tom Cleverley, 35. Really good, three young, talented people looking to push their career forward. They've got only really one person to report into now, and that's Andy, who eventually reports into Simon. So it's quite a flat structure now. There's no director of football, though obviously Webber's sitting in the background probably as a non-exec director. But day to day, these three will be getting their shit together and putting a plan together to get us up the pyramid quickly. That, for me, is going to be a godsend. And I just think the one thing that probably Tom will be really craving now, that I imagine Dave and Tom Randall have had as part of their onboarding, is who does what, where, and when, and where are my parameters? Where do I bring in, David Fox? Where do I bring it? And all those things put together, as long as they've got clear identity of what their roles are, where their dance space is, and where other people's dance space is, I think they'll all be allowed to do their jobs in a really effective manner and move the club forward really quickly, which is, to me, is the most exciting part of all of this. We've got three now exceptionally talented people in those head of roles who can move this club forward at a rate of knots, and they've all got massive points to prove. because they're all young in their careers. We haven't got any journeymen here.
Yeah.
And two of those as well. Sorry to butt in, Mike. Two of those as well.
Yeah, go on, Andy.
Footballing backgrounds as well. We talked to the last fans forum that we needed some football heads in there. You've got David Fox there now and Tom Cleverley, who are, football heads. They've learned from the best. They've both been together, I think, at Man United back in the day. So it's got to bode well for a club, hasn't it?
And Tom Randall's he's one of the most respected head of recruitments around. So it's bloody exciting, guys, that we've got, not little old Argyle anymore. Yeah. We've got 3 really good caliber people working in the organisation at the heartbeat of it, which is the football end, which is great.
Yeah, and I think
it's making me feel really old that the manager is younger than me. 35.
And that's young Carl. Yeah. And Harvey's even younger. So I think just what Ninja Matt has put up here, young talented people are so much better than old cronies. Not sure I'll agree with that in everything I see day to day. It's exactly. But I think it's the energy, and if you've got the right type of people. And the key thing for me in anything that I do, and it's what I always say to people, is passion. If you love what you do and have a passion for it, you'll want to strive to make everything better, for yourself, for the people around you, in the business that you work for. And I think, that's what I'm excited about. Yes, David hasn't had that director of football, head of football operations experience for that long, but, it's having the support around him to do that. Tom Randall with his background in recruitment, I don't think he's going anywhere. I know that's come up a few times, but it's an exciting era we're going into. A bit of a reset, you could say, isn't it? So then, Gavin, the coaching and performance team as it stands, we touched upon this with James, didn't we? Who might come across and who might not. We'll show you through those options of what James said to us, but summarise.
Yeah. I think this is just to remember those people that had us last year that were still on the touchline waving frantically at people. It looks like they're all moving on, which is, I'm disappointed. I actually quite like Adin. I think he's another really exceptional talent that's going to have a great career. Looks like they're all going off to Schalke, which is great for Miron. And as usual, when there's a clear of the decks, the only man standing is a certain Kevin Nanskiville. Welcome to the Argyle way, gents, and he's got another team to blend in to the club, which is fine. I think that's Nance's role, isn't he? He's kind of the Sherpa of the Argyle management team. He's been up and down the mountain so many times, he knows it like the back of his hand, and he'll wave them through the Argyle mountain to get to the top, hopefully with little fuss. But I think at this point we have to say, Adin, well done, thank you. Eddie, well done, thank you. I really like what Daryl Verhaven has done with Hazard. I think he's made him a much more rounded keeper, and he seems to talk passionately. I think it's a shame he's on his way, if he is on his way. And Hulbert, I'll miss your bald head, seeing you from above your head, waving your hands frantically every time we get a free kick. They're gone, but we have to move on. And football's a funny old game, isn't it? The clean broom comes in every time there's a management leave or a management sacking, and everyone goes with them, and you have to say, here's your new teammates. But do
you think Nance has that same role going forward, or do you think it would be kind of
I think so. But if you just think about the longevity he's been at the club, Carl, and I hate to say this, but it's we're so special because we're so far out of the way, but we are, right? We're on the arse end of nowhere, turn left, in terms of the football pyramid. It is very different to live in Plymouth and to go about your business in Plymouth in any sector, especially football. And that man has more intellectual property about Plymouth Argyle than anybody else, right? He's that old guy in IT that sits there and goes, when I retire, you guys are stuffed because I know everything that goes on in this company. And when I switch off and you can't ring me anymore, it's going to collapse in a heartbeat. And I think that's where Nance is now. I don't think it's blind loyalty. I think genuinely he has so much IP, intellectual property, as a coach.
He's actually got one of the highest qualifications as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's got all the same. He'll never want the top job. That's not his character profile, is it? He likes being that support mechanism. He likes developing people and developing coaches around him. And he is the absolute fountain of knowledge of anything Argyle. You see it when they do the Argyle TV stuff, the fives and stuff. He knows everything about. He's like an encyclopedia.
Do you not think, though, chaps, something missing from this, right? You're looking at Nance and all that. We're missing out on like Joe Edwards. Do you think Joe Edwards could have a role alongside?
It's a great opportunity, isn't it?
He's still a player.
Yeah,
he's still a player.
I still think he's got another year left in him as a player.
He's still got a playing contract.
Whoa! You're talking. Go on, Andy. Go on.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he does know the club as well. He's stood beside Nance before as well, and he'll know the players he's got, which could assist Cleverley.
I think what's also important about Nance, and I said it earlier on in the show, is that he will bring Cleverley into the club, and help him settle and get to know the community and all that sort of stuff, which is massive. And however Tom wants to utilise Nance wants to see out his career now at Argyle, and he will more than happily, not speaking out of turn for him, I hope, but to be involved and support, in any way that Tom and the club need to. Just in some of the comments, I know a few of you are asking about, sort of Randall and stuff like that. We are going to come on to the players in a minute. So we're an hour and 20 in nearly. If you minus the 10 minutes of the countdown. So thank you for being patient with us. We will come to that, and including the new signings as well. So,
sorry,
go on, Gav.
Just to put in there, just to put that into perspective, Andy. I know why you said it, but our illustrious skipper, Mr. Edwards, is 34. Right, God, so he's only a year younger than our gaffer. So I can see we said it, but I think Joe has a gift of owning that changing room. Yeah. Right, he runs it. So the management team don't. He sorts everything out. He's the governor in there. You've got a year left on your playing contract. Nance, Joe Edwards won't play every game, I don't think. We've got too many young, talented wing backs. But what he will do, and he did it while he was injured, famously, is run that dressing room to an absolute nth degree, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So then the support staff and structure, Gavin?
Yeah, just 2 minutes on this, really. Look, if you look at Argyle a few years ago, it was, and certain people of a certain age, Andy, will remember that when you look at the year,
you've annoyed him now. Look, he's turning his camera off.
If you look at the photographs of the squad at the beginning of the year, for the calendar, etc., the back office team was about 4 or 5 people. Now it's about 24, right? So we've, club doctors, we've never had that up until recent times. Club psychotherapists, we haven't had that till recent times. Performance analysts, we've not had that till recent times. Sports science departments, we haven't had that till recent times. Yes, recruitment's always been there in one way or another. But if you look at what we've done now, Tom's coming into quite a sophisticated back office, which I don't think we're still perfecting as a club, unless anyone viewing can correct me if I'm wrong. It's still moving towards like perfection, but the back office budget has become way more than it ever has been over the last few years. And every year we go on, we just get more professional and have more people supporting the squad. So that's all that sort of slide says, really, and long may it continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So skipping, we're halfway through. Like I said, we don't aim for this to be death by PowerPoint at all, but it's good to visualise the topics that we discussed. So Cleverley's Watford model then, Gavin?
Yeah, so he's got some loyal disciples, as we've got James mentioned really acutely. A good assistant manager, and then he's had some really good technical people around him. Whether they'll all come or not, I don't know. Jimmy Gilligan as a technical sort of director, I suppose, if you like, has done a lot of the analytics work and stuff. Lloyd Doley, as he mentioned, has been a real foil to get the academies going. He had a large team. We'll come on to the next slide. It's how many of those that he brings now. And I know Miron wanted a team of 10, I think was the magic number.
Oh, wow, really? Cool.
Yeah, that's what he came in and said. Look, at Cercle of Bruges, I had a team of 10. Here I've got nobody. We found out that he actually had lots of people. They were all just consultants and not on the payroll.
Gavin, does that include the likes of David Fox and Tom Randall? That 10?
No. Well, yeah. So a team of 10 would be like the football operations department, I would imagine. Yeah. But if you look at what we've still got some pretty good numbers actually. If you include physiotherapists and performance analysts and stuff, we're getting beyond that probably. But it's just about letting him build his team and his model. You know, Watford have got a lot of money. They've got a lot more money than Argyle, so he's going to have naturally more resources.
Yeah.
Move on. That's it.
Yep, sorry, there we go. Get my mouse cursor back. So there we go. So there's 2 parts to these slides because we've got 8 backroom staff to show you.
So it sounds like Damon's and Paul Robinson are the 2 that are going to come here. From what we've potentially seen, the rest, and he had really good comments about Omar Pereira as technical director. I don't think will come because we obviously got Foxy will take that role. But it'll be interesting to see the back office team. I'm assuming Adin and Eddie and the guys will get announced Monday that they're off and that they've done a deal with Schalke, one would assume. But here's the team that he had around him for that 24-25. So there's 4 on the front page and 4 on the back. So he's had 8 assistant coaches and coaches and people around him to build that to build that match day squad and I suppose the whole 18s to senior squad sort of all together type thing, which seems to be how he wants to run things. It's a very much a place of inclusivity, I suppose, for the academy. So we'll see. But I mean, there's some good names on here, and they've all got great pedigrees. So doing some research on them, they've all got really, really good things and really good reviews on everybody. So who knows who he'll bring? But these are the people that he worked with in that 24-25 season.
Yeah, Harvey, just to bring you in on this one, it's, we've sort of said it a few times, but sort of supporting him to bring in the backroom staff he wants. And there's also a chance for Cleverley to sort of actually even reset himself a little bit, I suppose, in terms of, he's had that full season, with the ups and the downs at the end. And he will also be analysing what worked well, who supported me in the right way, did what I needed him to do. It's a chance for him to reset with that and reshape that at Argyle.
Yeah, 100%. I think Tom Cleverley's going to have an understanding of what he wants. I think that any manager with any respect would. I think it's important that the board work hard to get in who he wants. And if not, they find replacements which are going to be just as good. We've just spoke about there whether we're going to take a couple of the Watford staff, and I think it makes sense. I think when a manager leaves, he always it's common for him to take a couple or to take the full lot. So it'd be interesting to see who he brings in and who he brings in that aren't from Watford.
No, and as Accidental Pilgrim said, 7 weeks to go before it kicks off. So
we kind of need the coaching squad in, don't we? Early part of next week, because they're going to need 2 or 3 planning sessions to get pre-season underway. Because the guys are coming back. We've already got a patchwork quilt of a squad from Foster, Shuey, Wayne Rooney, and Miron. So we're going to have to gel that patchwork quilt quite quickly to get us into a playing style that he wants for the early part of August.
Gavin, have you heard anything regarding Austria?
Yes.
Is that still on or not?
I've not had an email to the contrary, mate.
No, I mean, Harvey, you heard anything?
No, I haven't. I tend to shut away from Argyle when it's the off season, especially since the relegation. I've turned my head at it all. I'll be honest.
I'm guessing we could go back to Marbella again. That's probably another option.
The fixture release is, I think, next Wednesday week. So I imagine we'll probably hear more then on that sort of meeting day for the sponsors. But I would imagine if you've booked hotels and paid deposits and
absolutely
booked pitches and all the other bits and bobs that go with it, you just carry on, don't you, and do it.
Yeah, I think we were saying this the other day in the group, and I made that point exactly, Gavin. This is not so easy just to turn on and off. There's cost to it. There's teams that have scheduled you to come over. Everything, the whole operation to organise that.
I imagine the whole thing's done. So unless you want to lose 40 or 50 grand or whatever it's going to cost them to go away, you probably just carry on and do it, don't you?
Yeah. So we now come on to sort of his managerial sort of style, coaching style and formations, and Gavin's put some stuff together on this. I mean, just in this summary slide, his preferred formation, is a back 3 playing with the keeper at the back, as James said to us, 3-4-2-1, likes to high press as well, and all that. So we said that, and Gavin will touch upon it. There's bits of Rooney and bits of Mir on that, might gel and suit those that would like the mix. So obviously key to make Home Park a fortress as well, as he did have an 11 match unbeaten home run as well at Watford. So Gavin, over to you with the little formation slide and your notes there.
The only thing that's done me here is obviously you can only do so much, can't you, of a desktop research like I did with Circular. I have to say I haven't watched anywhere near as much of footage this time around because I've not had time. Maybe we can do that as another. Well done, that. Maybe we can do that as another day. But 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-2-1. That seems to be the formations. Although there is a 3-5-2 option as well. I think that's probably more with the ball at our feet rather than being in defence. And it's really putting this together actually was really cathartic because you think, oh shit, we haven't got much strength in depth. We haven't got this, we haven't got that. And then you realise you're playing in League One and you think, okay, well, we're playing some quite poor sides in the bottom end of this division. And then you look at the quality we've got. Goalkeepers Hazard and Baker. I think they'll make another signing there by the sounds of it now. But that you've got that 3-5-2. I've put a squad together out of really what I did a selection policy as we did last year. So Connor in goal, back three of Maxi in the centre, Pleggy to the left. Mike, if you want to butt in now, you can about Pleggy. It's just no, okay, fine, move on. And Cornell on the right side of that back three. Although there's some random rumours coming about him earlier that some clubs might sign him depending on how much the fee is. Well, you could say that about every player in the football pyramid. Two holding midfielders. I like what I've seen of Bradley Ibrahim, and I think he would be the front runner. Adam Randall, who's not off to Swansea, from what we understand, sitting in that front two holding. Two wing backs, and looking at that. Sorry, just going back to that back three. We've still got Galloway, and we've still got Palsson, and we've got Matthews to come in there. Matthews bit inexperienced, but you've got an international in Palsson and a very good player when fit in Galloway. So that back three, I think we've got a embarrassment of riches there. Unless we sign another one, in which case it'd be even better. Midfield two, Randall, Boateng, Roberts, and Ibrahim are the four that we have. I've gone in this instance with Randall and Ibrahim, just from what I've seen. Adam Randall will tear up League One. I think he did a very good job at times in the champ. He'll have far more time on the ball this time. Ibrahim looks a great signing. And then we've got wing backs. And again, there's another embarrassment of riches. So Jack McKenzie, who likes heading chairs from north of the border, and Ballymumba at right wing back, where I thought he had his better games last year. But that still leaves Matty Serranola, Joe Edwards, and Nathaniel Ogbeta. So I think we're gifted in the wing-back department too in terms of strength and depth for League One. If this was a championship season, you'd probably be saying we might need to strengthen that area and get rid of a couple. But I think our wing-backs would be more than capable in League One. And then you've got 2 10s and a 1. So 2 10s, I've gone for the two that didn't get much of a look in this year in Beidou and Al Hajj. I think they'll both tear up League One. Beidou, I think, is really class, and he showed the glimpses of that when he had a bit of a rest back end of the season. Rami El Hajj has done really well under Rooney, and I think he'll do much, much better under Cleverley, to be honest. Yeah. But if you look at who we've got in there, Beidou, Al Hajj, Wright, Watts, Patterson, who we've just signed, Watts, who we've just signed from those up the road, and Freddie Isaka. So without signing another player, we've still got really good strength in depth for League One there too, in my opinion. Lots of pace, lots of power, people good on the ball who can score but also give a pass. And then one central number 9. At the moment, Ryan Hardy, I don't know how that's going to pan out, whether he's going to be with us or not, or whether he is a 9 or whether he's a 10. I think that's out for debate since Miron sort of got hold of him. Yeah. Possibly Tajani. There was an option to buy that we've not heard about that option to buy. But if you look at his wife's or girlfriend's Instagram, are they moving back to Plymouth? Who knows? I think I'd like to see him in League One. And Joe Hatch, who I think is a massive potential to get some game time this year and get some goals. He absolutely smashed it last year before he did his knee. So if you look at that squad, 3-4-2-1, it looks strong. The squad actually looks pretty strong on paper at the moment. And, they're all now used to this high press up the field, get the ball back as quickly as you can, get down the wings and get it into the red zone and score. We've got really good, talented back three players now. I think any of those 5 out of those 6, you wouldn't worry, would you, on a Saturday about who starts there? I think they're all very as much of a muchness and all very good at a high level, certainly for League One. And for me, it put me a big smile on my face to say, "Oh, we're all right here," and we're probably about halfway through our recruitment.
I like Matt's comment in the section below about Beidou and El Haj being key for us. I think with Cleverley coming in and being such a nurturing guy, he's going to nurture those two and get the best out of them. We didn't see that under Muslic. They were sort of frozen out under Muslic, and I think
they were both signed at the wrong time. And the one thing I will say, Miran was spot on. You don't sign guys that have just had a full season to come in at Christmas and have another 6 months or 5 months playing 3 times a week when it's pissing with rain in January and February. It was a bit madness. We're going to see the benefit of that now because they're going to have had a nice rest. They didn't play much the back end of last year. They'll be fresh and they'll really want to impress the fans because they've both been signed for decent money.
Yeah. Yeah, I just looking at some of the comments. I picked a few up, but just to read them out, I always forget for those that are listening post the live show. So, yeah, Ninja Matt is there with what a side that looks like. Absolutely. And also, hang on, clicked on the wrong one as a comment dropped in. Another decent setup. Block 16 greens. So, do we think Maxi will stay? Cool, whether that could change now with Cleverley coming in, not to say it wouldn't have done.
Now we've got a special guest here. Do you think Maxi will stay? Sophia? Yeah?
Yeah.
What about Lumber, your favourite player? Do you think he stays?
Sophia's prediction.
Lumber and Maxi are going to stay, according to Sophia.
Good. That's good news.
There we go. And this one, I thought, actually, that Ninja Matt put in was a very good point and could be extremely useful to Cleverley. And we still got 5 loans. So when we look back at the potential, and we said it with James about who would come in for at Watford and look at that could be, those connections could be absolutely important. It's a brilliant shout that Matt, and also GT as well. You're right. It's easy to forget we have some very decent players in the squad, and I think this just the more we go through this, and this is why we present it this way to you as well, the more I'm getting excited for the season to start. Also in there, Accidental Pilgrim again, don't forget Mal Boateng. He's actually in a lot of discussions, and even in our last show, we even forgot to bring him up as someone else.
He was brilliant on the last day against Leeds, by the way. He was absolutely outstanding. So we've got some really good competition in midfield, which is, we've been craving that for the last 2 seasons. It's been like it's Randall plus whoever, wasn't it?
Yeah. So let me just skip because this is a slightly different formation that you've noted, isn't it?
Yeah. So the other formation that came out of the desktop research and looking at some of the highlights from Watford is a 3-5-2, which is two top strikers. One, I imagine, playing slightly off each other, and a midfield 5, which means you can either then, if you're not dominating, play, I would imagine, Ibrahim, Randall and Boateng to really solidify that midfield, win that midfield battle and move forward quickly. Or if you're on the front foot, play Rami El Hadj or Beidou in that pocket, or Watts, actually, who played that really well, from what I understand, last year at Exeter. So, if you do play this section, it brings a couple of our newer signings into play, and having someone like Beidou who's quite versatile, can either play up top or in the 8 channel or in the 10 channel, it gives us a really good option, I think, if we're winning that midfield battle moving forward. Because last year, one of our sort of big frustrations for me was you could just stroll through our midfield at times. We were so wide, and we didn't even look to compete in that middle field. And Miron's defensive stuff, if you looked at the Argyle TV analysis show, they really solidified that centre part of the pitch and collapsed it down to make people go wide. If you've got this, you've got some real good defensive bricks there in Randall or and Ibrahim, or Boateng and Ibrahim, or whoever the combination would be. And then you've got 3 really electric players to get up the pitch with Rami El Hadj picking pockets and sliding both the guys up front through. So either way, I think if you look at this squad, and that's one, I think, the reason why we put the visuals up is otherwise you just forget stuff and you forget who we got.
Yeah, well, just going to come in there with bringing some of the others. I just picked this comment up. So Kenny said, have you got a 4-2-3-1? Cleverly played this from Jan onwards with Watford. There might have been a reason why we didn't put that in after the shocking sort of set of results that they had at the end. But no, there's obviously only so much we're going to bring. Firstly, Gav superbly described that there. Carl, a question I'll go to you all. Out of all the players that we've got, and if I just drop it back a slide so you can just see the setup on the right there, who do you think is going to see the biggest benefit from Tom Cleverley? Carl, start with you.
I think Randall, by the sounds of it, listening on through Argyle Life last night and the Watford fans on there, that Cleverley knew of Randall and knew of his potential. Was a keen admirer of him, so I would love to see his progress. I mean, we all know I think he'll storm League One if he stays, and I think Cleverley have a big job in the summer to convince him to stay, which I hope he will. The Swansea link seems to be dead in the water. I don't think that was ever a goer by the sounds of it, and I think he will nurture him into an all-round better player and maybe a future captain as well, more long-term. See if he can get a bit more vocal on the pitch, which he lacks sometimes. Again, Michael Baidoo and Rami Ahaj, I think that's the two biggest ones where we want to see some improvement. And if he plays the two number 10s and likes to create chances, then that's hopefully going to be perfect for them. So, yeah, big season for them two and Randall, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Andy, what's your pick? Who do you think is going to benefit the most?
I think the first name that jumps out to me is Caleb Roberts. Came into the sort of tail end of last season, didn't get a lot of playing time, but we all know that Cleverley sort of nurtures young players like that. So I think Roberts will be one that could possibly bring a lot to the team, along with Matthews as well. Just signed another contract with us, extension. I'm looking at Baidoo and Al-Haj that I sort of mentioned earlier on. Not too sure about Callum Wright, but certainly Caleb Watts would sort of benefit from it as well. So yeah, a lot of the youngsters probably will because of that nurturing side to it as well. And with a few sort of good pros around them as well, that's just as good. And of course, Rams is going to benefit if we get hold of him.
Yeah, just correcting Martin, Watts is showing in there in the 210.
I mentioned him on the 3-5-2 because I think that attacking 8 is where he will really benefit from the stuff I've seen. But yeah,
well, Gavin, who would then be out of all of that? What you've said as well, coming to you then with that same question, who do you see and feel is going to benefit the most for you?
Probably Al-Haj.
Oh wow, okay.
Probably Al-Haj, because if you think about it, right, the reason why Al-Haj looked a fish out of water is we didn't have any of the bloody ball, right? So on the Miron, we had 25, 26, 28. If we had a really good day, we had 30% possession. And one of the early bits that came out of Miron ball from some of the players, from some of my contacts at the club, was the midfielders are getting neck ache from in training watching centre halves who fit straight up the top and not ever receiving the ball. I imagine Rami Al-Haj was one of those biggest contributors of going, are we ever going to put it on the deck? If you think about the Luton game at home with Rami, he was brilliant because he got on the ball, he played people in the pockets, he did 1-2s. There was lots and lots of movement, and he was the quarterback, if you like, of that final attacking third. So I think moving forward, if you can give him the ball more, he's exceptional at sliding people in. And you've got Bailey with pace. If Hardy stays, he's got pace. We've got some really good attacking players to slide in and score. So for me, it's Rami Al-Haj.
Yeah, no, fair play. I'll give my view as well. But Harvey, what are you thinking? Who for you is going to be that standout?
I think all three of you have hit the nail on the head there. I think I can agree with every single one of you. And I don't think there's another player I would say, really. I think Caleb Roberts is really a huge shout. I think, especially in the 2 games I've seen him play last season against Leeds, I thought he was phenomenal. Adam Randall, as we've said, obviously is had high praise from Tom Cleverley, and if we can convince him to stay, I think, yeah, like we said, he's gonna rip up League One next season. But for me, though, I think the main standout would be Baidoo. I think
that's who I was going with.
Yeah, I think that he's gained a lot of stick from Argyle fans because of his form, and I think that I'm probably one guilty of it at times, and maybe I probably should have gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was coming off of the season, and now he's coming in fresh legs, bit of quality, bit of talent. Let's probably see the £2 million we paid for him.
Yeah, I think, Beidou is who I was going to go with. A sort of curveball for me, I would like to see a Zaka. Sort of watched him at times for a while, and didn't really get the opportunities when he did come on, and question marks there. But from that young side, and then I think, with Beidou, for me, the same really. The whole situation around it, Miron was right to point that out, really, whether it was desperation, etc. We do know, though, in fairness, actually, to Jimmy and that, Beidou was almost done in the summer, but we just couldn't get him over in time. So it wasn't like we just suddenly decided to take him in January. But if he, obviously Rooney was a massive part of him coming over. We don't know how much that still influences his mindset of being here. But, Cleverley being an ex-United player and teammate of Rooney's will have some emphasis for him, I believe, as well, or I feel. So I think it will be a good one for him to get in and actually see what potential, he can really bring to the table. So what's great about all the answers, all the players that you've noted, gents, is a good mix in there. And I think it really does add further excitement, as I keep referring it to, for the season ahead. I can't wait to see them all go out there for pre-season.
I think they've all, in their own right, shown us little glimpses of what's to come. Obviously, Beidou against Brentford, I thought, was a really good performance. His first performance for us, and then the last game of the season against Leeds, when he came off the bench, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, and Steve.
I'm looking what Kenny Pester says as well down in the comment section about Mumba. Yeah, having a new lease of life, put my teeth back in. He could be very beneficial to us next season. Definitely.
Yeah, just in the private chat, Gavin said, "Who do we think will be the biggest loser?" It's sort of one that I don't, as Ninja Matt said, a positive pod. I almost don't want to bring that in yet because I want to let's see what happens at the start, and I think it will start to appear. What they've all got to do, though, gents, of course, is will they steal the Block 9 Player of the Season crown from Julio Pleguezuelo just to get that in there again? Just saying, I got my man covered. But yeah, so just a few in the comments. Martin Ingham, let's just put that up. Will it show it? Come on, there we go. Does anybody know what Al Hajj's best position is? Well, hopefully, Cleverley will find that out. He's played in a few last season, but I don't think we saw the best of him. No, as we touched upon. Also, Accidental Pilgrim, the roof will come off when Beidou scores his first goal at home park. Yeah, let's hope that is early. And the Block 16, Green's crew. Do we think Bundu might change his mind? So this is a great question, and we've got it on a couple of slides. I'll wait and hold off until that slide, which covers Hardy and Randall in there as well. So, right, moving on. Let me skip back because we were just going back. So Gavin and I were putting this together. We said, we've got to bring in the current player, or the 4 players that we've signed. 3 we know that are on free transfers, and obviously Bradley Ibrahim, that was for an undisclosed fee. So Jamie Patterson, perfect number 10 for Cleverley's system. He's obviously a championship veteran, with a creative spark. You can see from his player traits graph there, care of FOTMob, he seems to be able to control the game in midfield very well, with some high percentages in touches. So 98% for those that are just listening on post. 76% chances created, 60% shot attempts, 85% goals. Not very good defensively, so we'll need to rely on that back 3 and not strong in the air. So sort of. Carl, I'll go to you. What do you think with Jamie Patterson? Obviously, he is at the later stages of his career too, as well, isn't he?
Well, I think he's going to bring massive experience for us, especially at League One level. And if we go along the routes of playing more attacking football, more possession-based, obviously his touches there are, second to none, aren't they? So he's probably going to see a lot of the ball and have a lot of attempts at goal. Obviously, aerial duels, he's not the biggest, so he's not going to be winning much in the air. But by the sounds of it, we're not going to be playing too many long balls. And yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more chances created next season.
Yeah, Ninja Matt picking up the previous AI mistake.
Yeah, 6'2", wasn't it? Like
he's
6'2".
Yeah, he's a couple inches shorter than Tajani.
Yeah, just for those listening, Ninja Matt said, is Patterson still 6'1"? Well, I'm telling you now, Matt, since he's heard Cleverley has been appointed, he's grown a little bit just in that enthusiasm alone. So sorry. So yeah, GT again, exciting opportunity for the manager to do things his way as well. Absolutely. So yeah, so Jamie, I think that's the key where Cleverley will need that experience to help with developing some of the younger players. Anybody else got any thoughts on Jamie Patterson before I skip to the next one?
I just think he'll chip in with goals. He will chip in with goals. He'll get opportunities to shine. Even if he comes on as a sort of bit player towards the end of the game, he's going to cause some problems up front.
Shot attempts and goals is high up there. Go on, Gavin. What's tickled your fancy?
Sorry. So if everyone's been on Twitter recently, they'll all know of David Mortimer, right?
Where's Bundu?
Yeah, our dear friend from the north. We've obviously tweeted out the podcast. He's put Zzz, as in Zeds, go to sleep. Very mundane voices, PAFC. I love getting trolled by a top tier troll. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant. I think he's brilliant.
We should get him on the pod.
So Caleb Watts, midfielder, wing back. Yeah, I mean, can play in a number of different positions. There's his player traits chart, a little bit smaller on this one, but his strength, obviously, in those defensive actions, 97%, 56% aerial duels won, 50%, 7% on goals. Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's come from up the road, the third team in Devon, for those that have listened to episode 4. Yeah, all that, yeah. Sorry, yeah, fair shout there, Harv.
Big up Plymouth Parkway.
No. So yeah, Harvey, what are you thinking to Caleb Watts then?
Wow, I don't know because in all fairness, I've never once ever, apart from that one time I went to St James's. Well, I can't even say it.
No, that place up the road.
Yeah. And I don't think he played. I've never really watched any highlights of the team. In all fairness, but I do know that from the reaction of the fans from up there, it's got to be somewhat of a good signing for us. And I'm quite excited by it. I think it brings that extra bit of spark into the Devon Derby, which is obviously going to return this year. And I think it's going to bring that, if he can turn up in one of them games and not turn up for the rest of the season and score 1 or 2 or do a Ruben Reid and even score a hat trick, I may even get his name on the back of my shirt. Who knows?
Oh, there we go. I mean, I suppose it'd be better than having manager's name on the back of your shirt, right, Harv?
Yeah.
Goodbye.
He's gone.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
All joking aside, though, I think if we're going to play 3-5-2, having him as that forward 8, getting up the pitch quick, driving with the ball, and setting off attacks. That for me, the only time I think I remember seeing him playing is when Exeter played. Is it Spurs? Or did they play in the FA Cup?
Nottingham Forest.
Forest. Thank you. Yeah. And it went on to about 1:15 in the morning. That's what I remember. And I was already into the game then. I thought, well, got to see him lose now. I can't go to bed otherwise. He played pretty well in that game, as did, I think, most of the team up the road's squad that night. So I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just... you stopped short than I thought you would there, but Ninja Matt just put a comment up. Yeah. He's put, WTF, I'm blocking him now. He doesn't take the P out of the block 9. Mort's is dead to me. Brilliant.
I'm going to DM him after this, and I'm going to actually invite him on.
I love the banter. Absolutely love the banter. Block 16 Green as well. They should have offered him more than £850 a week if they wanted him to stay. Then they shouldn't have. They should have broke team from up the road.
How much he was offered?
God, wow.
Jeez.
So So look, another exciting young player, and he's absolutely chosen the right path. Jack McKenzie, obviously left back, come from Aberdeen, so 24-year-old. His player traits chart is quite a mix really in there. So 63% on touches, 36 on chances created, 74% on aerial duels won, which you would expect that to be high, 46% defensive actions, and 66% shot attempts. So not shy to having a shot. Don't convert him to goals. Sort of the output here is Cleverley system fit, ideal left wing back in a 3-4-2-1, limited creative output though, because obviously with him being defensive minded, solid at the back though. So it's another great signing, I think. Carl, come to you.
He looks like he's got a bit of pace, strong on the tackle. Looking at that tackle as against Rangers when he covered like half the pitch and slide tackled the Rangers guy like in half. He looks like he could be one that's not going to shy away from the ball. I mean, the defensive actions there seems quite low at 46%. It's not brilliant. But he looks big, strong, and looks like a good signing. So we'll see what he can bring.
He's quite quick as well. I think he'll get up the pitch quickly and overlap, which is what you need, and get those crosses in. I think he'll be a bit of a no-nonsense wing back that will do the job, but there won't be the step overs and the Cruyff turns of Ballymumba on the other side or whoever's playing. So I think he'd be great for League One. And I think he'll also be very good for the champ as well. And if he starts heading back chairs or any other,
he'll be doing well being sat back in that defence.
Say again?
He'll do really well sat back in that defence, with all those chairs going.
As Graham Byrne said, evening Graham, he looks a tough lad. Another good one, I think we'd agree there. And then obviously Bradley Ibrahim, so the player that was signed for an undisclosed fee, central midfielder. Player traits, heavily in the 85% defensive actions, 55%.
That's impressive.
On goals, 64% on touches, 37% chances created, not so much on aerial duels won, as you can imagine, and shot attempts 30%. It says cleverly system fit, ideal again, double pivot, energetic presence in midfield, development potential suits Cleverley's coaching approach. So Andy, what's your thoughts on Bradley Ibrahim? Is he frozen?
Yeah, like this guy is. But no, you still hear me?
Hey, me.
I'm going to get a toffee crisp from that.
I think there was a bit of a delay or a lag going on in Andy's place. Go on.
I like this guy because he's got very early on, and I just think that he's going to be so beneficial to this current team because he's got a good bit of skill about him. He can defend, and you can see that he's winning things in defensive areas which are going to be very, very vital.
I think he'll break up play really quickly, get the ball up the pitch. He'll be that sort of Jamie Tete / Panucci Kamara type role that I think we've all missed, haven't we? Let's be candid. I think actually Boateng's very similar to that too, and I was really impressed with Boateng, as I said, against Leeds. So there's two really good defensive-minded pivots there that can obviously both play good football. Certainly, if you come through the Arsenal academy, you're not going to be a shit passer of the ball. Let's be candid. So I'm there. As Carl said a couple of weeks ago, this is the one for me. The one to look for the season. I think he's bang on the money so far.
It looks like he's going to put a real shift in looking at his defensive action. So he's going to be up and down that pitch like Joe Edwards. Yeah,
well, you don't. I mean, to be fair, he was quoted by when I was watching one video as the future of Arsenal's midfield growing up. So that you don't just tend to get tagged with that lightly. So and it looks like he's one that's definitely exciting. A few in the comments, Ninja Matt saying Ibrahim is going to be class. Kenny is also saying excited for Ibrahim and. Also, Accidental Pilgrim, yeah, absolutely. The new kit is obscenely good. Yes, I got my top the other day, but it's a Father's Day gift, so can't wear it until tomorrow. But yeah, it does look so good. So moving on. So we said we'd touch upon this a little bit later. So we try and aim to not jump around the show and keep it within its order. So with Cleverley being appointed, Harvey, I'll come to you. When you think of Hardy and the rumours with Wrexham, Randall, yes, the Swans, but that was then debunked, saying they weren't interested at all. And then you got obviously Bundu, whose contract runs out in June. I don't know if it's the end of June or it's expired. But do you think, Harvey, starting off with Harvey, do you think Cleverley's appointment will make Hardy change his mind? And actually, would we want, if he had another opportunity elsewhere, would we fight to keep him? And I mean it, before anybody has a go, with the greatest of respect, because it looks like we've got some really exciting opportunities and we don't know what they've got in the pipeline as well to bring in.
Yeah, I can understand both sides in the terms of whether he'd want to leave or stay. I think a main pointer that could keep him down there is that he's been down there a fair few years now, and I know he has got his little lad, and whether or not he's settled in school, and it doesn't, you don't know, do you? It's behind closed doors. You don't know whether how change is going to affect the family. I would definitely keep him. I remember him in League One, and obviously when we had him in the loan spell going into from League Two to League One, how phenomenal he was. He certainly knows where the goal is, and that's a striker's job, really, as long as he's putting the ball in the back of the net. But to see him go, it would. You don't know what's around the corner, like you said. So whether or not it'd be a case of thank you for your service, like we've done with Houghton, and he's moved on. We don't know.
I think that's the big thing for me, Harv, is that he's in the latter stages of his career. Same with Houghton, where you're looking for that next. Can you get a 2-year, another 3-year deal? It's not to say that if we did offer him something, I wouldn't say no to obviously keeping him. I just think with what we're looking to do and the pace at which we're looking to move, and I think we'll see more appointments again soon with Cleverley now being appointed. We've always struggled, in that striker department. Is Tijani going to be an option? I didn't pick him up on here, obviously, but possibly not. But we need to sort of look forward now for there and try and move hard and fast. It's what everybody wants, of course, a striker, a goal scorer. So for me, it wouldn't be a shame to see him go, but equally wouldn't be disappointed if he extended for another period as well. I mean,
I wonder if he waits until the January transfer window just to see where we are in the league, and then if we're up there, he might decide then to sign another contract, or do we risk the danger of doing a Cooper and losing him for a pittance?
Yeah, I think if there's a deal on the table that will give you, say, another 3-year contract potentially, and if it is, say, somewhere at Wrexham, I mean, James, the Watford Way, is in the chat as well, and just put, I wouldn't mind Hardy at Watford. So, that says a lot for the respect for him. I think if you can get Championship football at this late stage in your career, then go for it. I wouldn't wait till the January window, assuming that they get a price for him. So
he'll score 15 and 20 goals in League One.
Oh God, easy.
Yeah, no problem at all.
I'm thinking more along the lines of Bundu here, right? And I'm thinking, that Bundu's agent might be playing him a bit and saying, "Look, come on, if you want this player, you could decide to get him a contract now." But so all this talk about him not wanting to come down to League One might be a load of rubbish. He might want to stay. You just don't know if he gets a good contract.
I've just thought it's Mr. Mortimer Bundu's agent.
It could be.
Could be. That could be a massive twist, couldn't it?
Yeah. So speaking of, we'll jump to Bundu. Don't have to do it in order of the three that's on here. The danger with Bundu, if there was a potential to sort of say, I quite like Cleverley, what's on the table from Argyle, would Cleverley want to bring Bundu in? He'd be, what probably he would like in terms of that lone striker, a target man, a strong person, with some pace, can clearly shoot and run through people, as even against Leeds, that was brilliantly evident. But is Bundu one of those that just does it? Where a bit like forget his name, that Journeyman, that sort of, is he going to just try and pit his best show on at the end to get a deal, and then will he fall back into old habits? That's the niggling thing, not just for Cleverley or for Argyle and the recruitment team. It's for any club really looking at Bundu. Sort of, Gavin, what would you say on Bundu?
I'd love to say he's going to wake up in the morning read the papers and say, "Oh, Tom Cleverley, tell my agent to go back and have a look at that contract that was offered." But I think his bed's made and he's gone. It's a real shame because I think he's hand in glove, and I don't know whether James from the Watford Way still on watching. He can throw in a comment, but if he saw anything of Bundu that last game of the season or last handful of games, he's just absolutely, for me, the pivot there at the top of a proper 9. Yes, he can hold it up because he did it for Mirren, but his pace. He can take players on and beat them. He knows where the goal is. He scored a lot of solo goals because he's had bloody bugger all support for most of the season. But then the flip side of the coin, some of the more bedwetty fans would be saying, well, he did nothing for 18 months. And then all of a sudden he kicked into gear, and for the last 6 months he was a world beater. So I'd have him. I just don't. I think that horse is bolted, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Randall, obviously, we've touched upon him throughout the show. It was noted about, obviously, Cleverley, sort of speaking highly about him. And yeah, you touched upon it, Carl. Bring you back to this one. We'll come to your point on it. But he was your player when I asked the question about who do we think will benefit the most from Cleverley this season. So, if there's a bigger deal out there, he has taken, probably because of his contract at the time, big pay cut, coming back down. And whatever anybody says, it's important that you make sure you secure yourself and your family. But yeah, it'd be good to see him extend his contract, wouldn't it?
Yeah, being a Plymouth lad as well, I'd hope he'd have the dedication to get us back first time of asking. And I think without JB next season, I think we'll start to see him flourish a little bit more, because he was, like we've spoken about a few times last season, he was doing the work of 2 in a lot of games because JB was struggling. And I think with a strong person next to him in League One, I think he'll flourish, especially under Cleverley. And I just hope we can keep hold of him for a little bit longer.
Oh, there we go. So, yeah, James has come back in answer to your shout out, Gavin. So, yeah, I think Bundu could be the equivalent of Kawadu Ba, if I pronounced that right. Apologies if not. So, look, we're at the end of the slide deck. Hopefully, you're all still awake. So, Harvey, I know you've been struggling a bit with all the football as well today, so appreciate that. And we are well over an hour and 50 in. If I strip out the countdown, let me switch back to the group shot. Actually, just to take a breather. So, yeah, brilliantly, described everybody's views and comments. Sort of this one's taken us a bit of time for Gavin and I to throw the deck together, and we wanted it to be an important one, which is why we didn't want to rush the show out in between pulling this together and writing the script, which I'll come on to for the tales as well and editing that. It's been a bit of a mental week even for me at work, but absolutely do it because I love it. We all love it, and it's great to get the amount of people that we've had watching tonight, with James joining us as well at the start. So any fans, Argyle, Watford fans, any other football fans, welcome to the show, and everybody that's been contributing in the comments. So I'm going to go to this blank slide because, again, this image for some reason didn't show up. So let me just see if I can find it with my tie-dyes while I waffle my way to that point. Here we go. Oh, come here. Now my PC's Mac even is wanting to crash. Anyway, I was trying to bring up, and I'll still try and do it, a bit about our new series. I've had great fun producing this and doing it, called Tales from the Block. It's all about being a mixture of fiction with the reality of what is going on out there at the moment. And I promise you, I am just about to bring up the graphic. So, yeah, for me, it was all to do with trying to, there we go, reimagine a bit of a story. I wanted to use my AI. I said this last time for those that listened. I'm big in my technology and what I do with it at work. And so I thought, how can I use those skills and those tools? So the Tales from the Block is literally that. It's taking fiction. So in the episode 4, I take the situation with Tom Cleverley. We ended episode 3 with David Fox saying to the chairman at the end before going into the weekend, I think we found our man. didn't really know what was going on and really hoped that this week was going to be the announcement, which it was. So I built the story around Cleverley back up in Manchester, sort of thinking about things. He goes to consult with an old teammate of his. Yes, it was Wayne Rooney, and helps him, solidify his decision. And it pits a bit of the story about what's going on in the office at Home Park to get the contracts ready, a little bit of a Zoom call between them to confirm that he is going to join. So obviously it's tying that fiction with a bit of fun to real life situations that go on, dramatized, using AI as a text-to-speech to convert it to be narrated, and there's some interesting accents. I can't get a Scouse. I couldn't get a Scouse to mimic Wayne Rooney. But yeah, it's a bit of fun. So I draft the scenes, get with the help of AI, then get it to draft it into a script to dramatize, and then put it into a tool to do the narration and the voiceovers. And then I do all the edit bits to add in the sound effects, which I absolutely love doing. And those that have commented on it and given me feedback, it's been really appreciated. It does take a lot of time, as all this does, and it's great fun doing it. And do you know what? If we can bring something different, that's what we aim to do, is to, some great pods out there, but we wanted to bring our side to it. So if you haven't checked this out yet, go and check it out. It's on all the podcast platforms. Start with episode 1, please. And of course, it starts with Julio Pleguezuelo.
Of course it did.
Yeah, absolutely. The fictional story in the start of that one. But it's good fun, and I enjoy doing it. It should be, and will aim to be, a weekly series. And I think now the dust has settled, gives me a bit of breathing space to be able to plan the episodes without trying to tie it in with all the hectic events that have happened recently. Kenny Pester hang on, wrong comment. I'll come to that one in a second. 11 Labs for the voiceover. Absolutely is, Kenny. It is the best tool out there. And these tools do cost to do it. So do put that investment in. We're going to look at setting up a Patreon as well for what we do. For those of you that do want to contribute, it would really be appreciated. So, and also what's Ninja Matt saying, sorry, that sounded all Dave Mortimer. It's really good fun and everyone should give it a listen. So he's just saying up there in the comments there, it's very good, would recommend. Thanks for that, Ninja Matt. So as we come to the end of the show, and take a deep breath in, any final thoughts, starting with you, Carl? Got to feel excited more than ever now for a season start.
I honestly can't wait to get this one to bed more than anything else, to be honest. But yeah, I just can't wait for the fixtures to come out, start planning, hopefully going to some local games. I'm just looking forward to seeing what staff come in and future players as well. Because I'm sure Tom's got some players he wants to bring in himself.
Yeah, Sophia attacks her dad, and that's very late, Carl. I mean, mine are fast asleep now. Come on. Andy, final thoughts from yourself?
Yeah, likewise. I'm really excited about the appointment. I was actually speaking to a friend out in San Sebastian. Hope you're still with us, Aaron. Tom Cleverley is a good manager. He's going to do a great job for us, and hopefully the Pilgrims will rise again out of this pit, and start to soar again in the echelons of the Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Accidental Pilgrims just picked it. Yeah, absolutely. Accidental Pilgrims just pit there on the Watford theme. People need to listen to Barry from Watford's pod if they have time. Absolutely hilarious. Thank you for that tip, Accidental Pilgrim. Gavin, your final thought?
I think the next bit of the jigsaw is who the backroom team's going to be. So I imagine that'll be a Monday or Tuesday conversation. Once we've got that final bit of the jigsaw, then it's very exciting, isn't it, to get head down, backside up, get them training hard, off to Austria for a bit of yodelay, hee-hoo. And then let's hit it hard come early August. But no, we've got a great guy. I think James articulated that really well. I've just read something on Twitter saying, some Watford fans saying that I think that all that excitement, they think we think we've signed Pep Guardiola. I don't think we do, but it's just nice to have a good guy who's got good pedigree in the club, and is going to bring us some success. So he's our Pep Guardiola, whoever that is, for listening. So move on. But no, really looking forward to it. Interesting to see who the new backroom team will be, and then obviously all that good stuff, pre-season fixtures and more signings, hopefully.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Harvey, and I really am drying up now. So, Harvey, your final thoughts?
I just want the football back. I think that it's very exciting times. I think like everyone's touched up on it. I think the backroom staff, as soon as we get that in, that's the first step. And then as soon as the ball's rolling, before we know it, the season will be upon us, and we'll be back letting the football determine our moods every week.
Yeah, no, it's. I've got the F1. I know for those that don't enjoy the F1, but that keeps me going. I've missed qualifying, but I shall watch that back. So that's my little sport alongside this. That helps me get through that time. But yeah, look, I shall end as I always do. But yeah, it's been a brilliant show, and thank you everybody who's joined us tonight. As 1,278, according to this, of you that are in now, which blows my mind for us for where we're at with what we've been doing. Obviously, again, a big shout out to James who joined us from the Watford Way, and thank you, Harvey, for putting us in touch. Just to bring it quickly back up on screen, there's his channel there on YouTube, and he is on all the other social platforms. You can see myself and Andy frequent on TikTok as well. Andy does a lot of his own lives on there, so go in and check that out if you're on that platform. And I just pick up random videos that people seem to enjoy on there. But yeah, it's all good. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Andy, Carl, Gavin and Harvey, and like I said, James. And yeah, look, we shall come back to you soon. We will let you know when that is. But I imagine as we get a few more signings, we'll probably wrap something up. And also, there is an episode I am looking to do with Harvey soon. We're going to do a one-on-one chat. We're going to sort of find all about Harvey and his journey as a YouTuber to where he's got to now. I mean, look, he's famous. He's on the Block 9 podcast.
I'm not famous. Not me. I'm not famous.
So yeah, we are looking to bring you additional shows, throughout as well. So look, everybody, have a great Father's Day tomorrow for all those that will, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. We shall speak to you soon.